Hi Stampers, it's Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. Welcome to today's live. It's a Thursday, so we're doing Stamping Made Simple, which means we're not using any die cuts. It's kind of minimal supplies. Easy to do, but still giving a wow factor. So today we're doing this kaleidoscope technique, and it's kind of a quilt card. It looks like quilt blocks to me, but I'm excited to show you how it's done. So let's get down to my desk. Okay, so here is the card, and we're going to start out with some 1/4 inch strips. This is going to be a great way to use up some leftovers. No, I didn't know it said July 4th. I apologize for that. It shouldn't be. Sorry, it's always on a Monday and a Thursday at 2:30. So if I made a typo, I apologize. But here we are with today's card. As I said, it's a kaleidoscope card is what it was called when I found it online. I don't remember who was the first one I saw, but there were several out there online. And I love the rainbow colors. And so that's what I decided to start with. So I have a card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I have a piece that's going to go on the top that is 3 3/4 by 5. That's just going to give us a little bit wider border around the outside. And then I've got 8 different 1/4 inch strips. And they're about 5 inches. As I said, I was kind of using up some scraps. And then I have a piece of basic white that's about 2 1/4 by about 4 and something. We're basically going to cut this down to 2 by 4, but I wanted a little bit of extra so that after we have everything adhered, we can cut the edges and make them nice and straight. So in order to have these stick onto this sheet, we're going to be using our adhesive sheet, and so I just kind of cut it to fit. And then I'm going to peel off the backing one little section at a time. And I'm going to be careful to try to make sure that as much as adhesive as possible can stay over there, because sometimes it tries to come with the cover, and I didn't want it to do that. Okay, so once I have that section down, now I'm going to peel off this one. Again, fold that over, and then I have my last section. And I can fold that over. Now see, at that time I got a little bit extra. But luckily this is 4 1/2 and we only need 4. So yes, I apologize. I had a typo when I went and scheduled my videos. I should not have been the 4th, it should have been the 3rd. I apologize for that. Okay, so once I have my adhesive sheet down on my little scrap paper, I'm going to be pressing it all nice and flat, making sure it's getting good and stuck. And then I want to peel off this side, and that's going to expose the adhesive again, making this a sticky piece of basic white paper. Okay. Now I'm going to take my strips and I'm going to lay them down one strip at a time, and I'm going to go in the rainbow order. So I'm going to start out with Flirty Flamingo, and then I have Real Red, Pumpkin Pie, Daffodil Delight, and you could do this with any colors that you wanted. This is just what I chose to use. I know a lot of people try to copy me exactly, and while that's flattering, it's not necessary. It's, you know, we're all trying to be creative, so add your own little spin to things. It makes it more fun. Has everybody shopped the new online exclusive items? July 1st, Stampin' Up! Released a bunch of new product. It is available just online. It's not printed in any of our catalogs. There was some fun stuff. Okay, so now I have all my little strips adhered. So now I want to cut this down, as I said, to a 2x4. So I think because these are all 1/4 inches and we have 8 of them, we should be right at 2 inches. I'm going to take off the white here. Sorry, I'm trying to get it to where I can see. I have these old lady eyes, you know. Okay, so then I think right there is going to be, yep. So again, we're going to cut off right here. And you could use your trimmer. Your trimmer always gets things nice and straight, but I cut all my pieces with the trimmer, so using them as a guide, I should be nice and straight. Okay. For the other side, I'm going to come in and we're going to just trim off just a little bit, like I said, making it even. And we're making it 2x4. Okay, now what I want to do is cut this into 2x2s. And then I want to cut this diagonally. So I'm kind of coming down in the middle and going up and then down. I put my point right in here so that the ridges of the trimmer, we're using it as a stop. And then with my point right in the middle of that track, I got 2 equal triangles. And then I'm going to turn it this way. And I'm going to do this once again. Okay. I'm going up, which isn't usually what I recommend because when you are moving your blade in an upward motion, sometimes it will tend to move the paper and make it go that way. But I don't want to smash the corner either, so you're kind of at a quandary. So I'm kind of holding it with my fingers as I slide. Okay, and that's giving me my 4 little triangles. Okay, so 2 of them are going to go straight up and 2 of them are going to go side to side. That's how it ends up after we do all our cutting. So I'm going to do that to this one as well. So now comes the fun part. Now you can just kind of play around with your pieces and decide how you want things to go. So this is what I had for my card over here. But I want to encourage you, when you have time with this, when you're playing around with it, move them around, get different patterns and see what you like. It's kind of fun that way. I think that's why they called it a kaleidoscope, because that's kind of the fun part. When you look through a kaleidoscope and you spin the end of it, the pattern just changes every time it goes around. So play fun. Yes, this would be great to use with some designer series paper scraps as well. Okay, then I wanted to put it on the upper half of this card. So I kind of wanted to find the middle of 3 3/4. So if we take 3 3/4 and we divide it by 2, we're going to get 1 7/8 approximately. Okay, so that's where this is, centered left to right. Now I want to come down about that far. Man, I need a new ruler. I'm going to come in here, and that's going to be my focal point for the center of my 3 1/4 by 3 3/4. So then when I come to build out, I'm going to be using that as my center. And it's in pencil, so I can come back and erase it later. But that's going to allow me to glue all of these down and maintain an even border all the way around. Does anybody here do any quilting? I used to do quite a bit of it before we moved. When we move, my husband always has this rule that whatever doesn't fit in a 17-foot U-Haul doesn't go, even when we moved across multiple states. So all of my quilting stuff got left in New Mexico because I decided just to bring my stamping instead of the candle making and the soap making, and I did all of it. Quilting was one of the things I really enjoyed. So being able to turn around and play with it with my paper is fun too. Yes, the paper I started out with before all of these, when I put just the strips on the paper, it was 2 inches tall by 4 inches long. And I actually started out with like 2 1/4 by 4 1/2, and then I just cleaned it up to be 4 by 2. I still actually have a quilt that I started. It's a Lone Star quilt. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but it's a bunch of triangles or these diamond pattern things. And I got this smart idea that I was going to hand quilt inside each and every one of those things. So I did that for a while until I thought my hand was going to fall off. And now it's in the closet waiting for me to get back to it, which I don't know. With the arthritis I've developed, I'm wondering. I'll get to that, but it's really pretty. Okay. So again, if I wanted to, I can kind of line this up on my grid paper, and then I can use my ruler and various things and try to make sure that I am good and straight across the top here. Maybe even butt that up there. And then when I go to glue this one down, use that as a guide. I just have a feeling this is the part that's going to wig everybody out, is trying to get them down cleanly and straight. And remember that dot was the middle. I can see little bitty bits of glue that are kind of shiny out from under there. And so when I'm done and it's totally dry, I can come back with my adhesive remover and rub along that, and it will gently remove that excess glue. And then as I put this piece down, I'm trying to make the distance between these two the same as the distance between those two. Okay, and then once again, I can come up with my ruler and see that I am, flush on the bottom, that these two match up. Now I'm going to turn the card around. Obviously, it's going to be upside down now, but for me, it's just easier to work with it closer to me. So I'm just using my ruler as a straight edge. So I'm watching my paper on the grid paper here, making sure I'm square on a line over here. My ruler is straight across. And then I'm just bumping my cardstock up to that ruler edge. I'm also making sure that we're the same distance over here. Okay, then when I have them all done, I can take an eraser and erase my little dot from the middle. And there we go. There is our pattern. Now this time I used a little bit wider gusset than I did over here. And so it's still pretty. It's just a little bit different. I mean, it's similar but different. You can decide if you like the smaller gusset or the wider gusset. Both work fine. I wanted a nice, big, cheery sentiment, and so I pulled out this one and decided to do Sending Warm Wishes, because to me, warm wishes kind of went with a warm, cuddly quilt, right? because I have an afternoon azure card base. That's the color ink I'm going to use. And we're just going to stamp that across the bottom. And then we're ready to adhere it to our card. And there we go. And then on the inside, I had some leftover last time. I had longer than 5-inch strips. And so I took my excess and I did 4 of the colors down here and 4 of the colors up here and just kind of split my rainbow. And I put them across the corners. I started kind of down low, used my grid paper, went over 1 square, up 1 square before I did my diagonal, and then built up from there and then did reverse up top. And then once I had all my strips on, I turned this paper over, trimmed from the back, and then installed it into my card. So that's today's card. Stamping made simple. Ooh, somebody was thinking of maybe using vellum and making it look like a church window. That could be really pretty. Somebody's talking about using in colors. There's some great ideas coming through. Okay, so that's today's card. On Monday, we're going back to a fun fold card that's a little more advanced. So we're going to be doing this cascading panels in a portrait card. We're getting ready for book 3, and this is one of the ones I needed to refilm a video for. So this will be in book 3. And it opens up like this. So we've done this before where it's been landscaped. Now this time we're doing it portrait. And I will be showing you how to do that on Monday. So again, thank you for being here. I appreciate all of those who come and watch me live and also pick it up on replay. Remember that we are now in July, so that means there are new online exclusives. So you want to go check out the online store for lots of new fun product that's not in a catalog. And then I will see you back here on Monday for our cascading panels using sunrise sailing. Thanks so much. Bye.